wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I put the mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns out with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's you lost, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed and
What's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I want to make this a really short video in between doing the process of the mural here. I'm going to make this just a quick update video because some things have changed since the last video I posted about this. We had a project in between this one and I kind of stopped working on this one to get that completed because that was a customer project, but I did have some downtime in between projects. I was able to jump on this one for a few hours. I've got like a 2.5 hours into this since you guys seen it last. I want to quickly go over that update for you guys. That way you keep everything on track. So last video we left off, we just started adding color. And the color that I'm using throughout the whole exact thing is nothing but candies. That's kind of why I went ahead and did the mapping out all in white rather than just going through and just adding color right from the get-go, is because I wanted to get this thing to look like it has a glow look. And that's the thing with it great about if you're using true candies. And I'm using nothing but House of Color paint, so they're all KKs. And the good thing about candies is when you clear that stuff and you get it out in the sun, it just has a glow to it. And that's what I'm going to try to do, and I'm trying to visualize getting this painting to look like it has a glow to it after I get this, because I'm going to be clear coating this. So it's going to have automotive clear on it, so it's going to be really shiny, really slick. And that's why I'm using the KKKs all throughout this. I shouldn't say KKK. KKs throughout this whole, the candy concentrates throughout the whole thing. So from left off, we just started adding the yellows and working our way up, and I think I added some red in there to the beginning of the smoky fire, you know, mist kind of look. So right now what we got looking at is I pretty much went through and I really went through and I redid the face. I completely blocked the whole face out, and I'm going to show you guys what exactly I did. So if I can find it here. I took one of the printouts I had, and I went through and I just cut out her face. I completely just cut it out, and that's what I ended up with. I wanted to make my own stencil, and I'm going to be doing that through this whole thing. I want to make my own stencil for things that I think that needs to have that really sharp image look to it to make it stand out. And that's the key to doing this stuff and making it look more real, is to get those really nice, crisp, sharp images and then spray down, is by cutting your own stencils, getting those areas in there where it needs like a really hard edge line rather than a really soft line. A lot of stuff you can't freehand, but sometimes you just gotta make your own stencil. So that's what I was doing, and I just pretty much blasted it all. When I was adding the color through this thing, something just didn't look right to me, and that's one thing I want to iterate really quick here. As an artist, when you're doing certain things, you know, some things aren't going to turn out the way you want them. That's just the nature of the beast when you're doing this stuff. And that's kind of how I had a feeling. I just wasn't really happy with the face. It wasn't really looking like I wanted it to, so I completely I blacked it all out and started from scratch. And I started from scratch just like we did on this panel, and used the same color, that special candy that we mixed up, that green, and I just went back in and I completely redid it. And it's not exactly where it's got to be. I still got to tint it. I still got to go through and do a lot more work to it. But that's one of the big things I've done, is I made my own stencil, went back in, and I actually got the face to where I want it to be. So that's how I did that. And then I went back through and I kind of punched everything back out by going through with a really over-reduced black and going through and darkening up some of these outlines and some of these areas where it's pitch black in here. And that really sets the image, and it kind of gives, as an artist, and if you're doing something and you got something that needs that really heavy black in the background of it, it just makes everything pop forward. So I went through and did that after I did the face and got all that down. And then when I did that, I went back down to where the skulls are. And this is kind of where I want the rest of the image to follow on this same level that I've got the skulls here. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to give you guys a close-up of this as well. They got that glow look to them because it's all candies. Yeah, I've used some whites and some blacks in there, but I haven't used anything straight white. So at the end of this, when we go through and add that straight white, it's really going to pop certain there. It's going to look like it has got like a glossy wet look to it. And that's what I want to try to convey through this whole exact painting. And that's just it's going to really set it apart from everything else. So this is pretty much everything from the skulls and the bones right here, the chandelier looking thing. Everything right here is pretty much done as far as color goes. And I've just slowly been working my way up and getting those colors exactly where I want. We still got a lot of work to do here, but as you can see, I went through and I added a green look to everything. So I went back in with some over-reduced, really grayish, bluish white. Really lightly went back in, and you can see I've done some more like the smoky, flamey stuff in here where the book is actually glowing. And we're going to do some more of that as well. And then went through and just anything that glow is going to hit, you kind of want to put in, like her hair, for instance, you know, on her dress. Some of it's on her face and up here, and then these guys over here with their arms and their eyes and stuff. It's kind of just going to be bouncing off of that. It's going to be pretty much kind of hard to see right now, but once this thing is cleared and you get it, it's going to make it pop. I can see it because I'm sitting right in front of it, and I know what things look like as I go along, but as far as being on, you know, watching it through a camera or video, it's really hard to see that type of stuff. So I want to give you guys a really close-up look of this, and you guys let me know what you think. But we're going to start at the next video after I do this update real quick. We're going to start from here and just start working our way up to get everything to this level of detail and color saturation. So I'm going to give you guys a really good close-up. And you can see inside these skulls, you know, I've got some textures going on here, and it just looks like it's got that glow to it. And I'm going to do a secret at the end of this. Once I get everything completely done, I'm going to use a candy, and this stuff is just going to be popping out even more because it's going to intensify all these colors. You know, I'm going to even put it, even though it's one color, I'm going to put it over all this stuff. It's a candy that House of Color makes that is going to give this thing a glow at the end of it. And that's kind of like a trick that I've learned from doing the realistic fire from years ago. And it just makes everything just has like a glow, glistening look to it. But there, you know, you can see the face. You know, I've punched everything back inside the eye sockets. Got her nose where I need it to be, her lips, and her eyebrows, and then the shading of the hair and everything. And went back in, I kind of did a little bit more detail work in the hair to get that to where I want it to be. Because I really want this thing, like I said, to glow. You kind of start seeing it here at this hand. You can see where the light's hitting it up top, but down here on the bottom edges where it's rolled around, you can see where the candy is going to be hitting this from the book and just light this sucker up. Same way over here, you can see it hitting his knuckle and his other finger right here and just rolling back as that shadow hits it. You see the light, we're going to have a lighter white coming up to here, and as well on the crescent at the top of these knuckles and these fingers, and the bottom sides of them, we're going to have that glow, that green coming out from that book. Same here. And this one's really, really cool because this one's coming out really, really nice as far as giving it that exact look that I want. If you guys can see that on the picture. And then the hair, once again, it's getting to the point where it's going to be at, other than adding the colors and maybe doing an extra pair of strands in there. But you can just see, hopefully you guys can see this and how well, you know, all the little details, all the little hair strands you see in here that are different shades of different colors, you know, and then you're putting color over that candy over top of it, and it's just making different colors by doing different types of candies over it. And that's kind of why you do this as a build-up, like I've been teaching and showing you in these videos. You do a little bit at a time. You can add as much as you want and many layers as you want to make it as realistic as you want, or real as you want. But that's how you get these images to be like that. You spend the time, you spend the efforts in making sure you're building each layer up correctly. Get a picture of these guys up here. And they're not going to have too much. Like this guy's right here, he's got a little bit of a glow, but it doesn't have too much. It's not an overkill because he's actually behind her head. And it's going to be pretty much shadowed around her hair, so these guys are going to be creeping up behind him. And then you can kind of see where the background, you know, I don't know if you guys see that, where that texture is coming through. I'm going to end up doing that more, you know, all the way out through this whole thing above this, and just making it different colors like greens and the reds and some of the yellow down here, because all this down here, I haven't really done it on the book yet, but it's going to be kind of like I do it on the book. The bottom of the book, since these candles are glowing, they're going to be hitting this back side of the book, and they're going to be glowing the back side of the book a little bit, because I want all this to pretty much glow like the candles are pretty much just making the light for this whole panel down here. So I just want to give you guys a quick update and get you guys back on track from that break we've had with this panel. I think I'm gonna guess, I kind of lost track of how many hours I got in this thing. I think I'm around like maybe 14, 15 maybe a little bit less than that, maybe around 11 or 12, but it's somewhere between a 10 to 15 hour range that we're in this thing right now. So we're making really good time on it. This is just a panel that I'm doing personally. I'm gonna make prints of it and then get those if you guys want to purchase them. I'm going to be doing those like I did the last video where I showed you guys. They're going to be the 13 by 19s. You guys can purchase from me personally. So we're going to get this thing popped out. We got, you know, usually typically on a panel like this, the size of it, I've usually got about, you know, 30 to 40 hours in it. Depends on how much I want to put into it. I could have done this whole thing black and white and just left it and been done with it and have been alright from the beginning stages, but I want to take it a little bit further, and I want to add color. I want to do all this fancy stuff to it. I want to really guys showcase what you can do as far with an airbrush and what different kind of colors you can do to pull certain tricks off. So that's the whole point of this panel, showing you guys what I can do, not personally, but with what House of Color paints and doing anything that's kind of crazy like this, what it can actually achieve at the end of it. And I think it's going to be really cool, and I appreciate you guys watching. But until the next time, go ahead and subscribe, like this, make sure we get that monetization up, the way we can start making more videos on the daily. Right now it's just kind of sporadic with what I have as far as my own stuff that I'm doing and customers' projects. So appreciate you guys being patient with me. And I swear we're going to get this thing ramped up to where we're going to get this thing done, get some prints done. If you guys want to purchase them, like I said, you guys can purchase them. So I appreciate it, and until next one.